Today's story is Barnacle's brave adventure. On a misty morning in the small coastal town of Brine Harbor, a group of children gathered at the edge of the dock, their faces lit with excitement. They were waiting for the legendary pirate, Captain Barnaby Barnacle Blue, to arrive. Barnacle was an old sailor known for his wild stories and boisterous laughter, a man who had sailed the seven seas and lived to tell the tale. Today, he promised to share one of his grand adventures. As the children squirmed with anticipation, a weathered figure appeared at the end of the dock. He wore a tattered tricorn hat, an eye patch that covered one of his twinkling blue eyes, and a long, flowing coat covered in patches that told stories of their own. The children cheered as he approached, his wooden leg tapping on the wooden planks. "Ahoy there, young mateys!" Barnacle bellowed, his voice booming like thunder. "Gather round and let me spin you a yarn about the time I faced the fiercest storm the sea ever knew." Chapter 2: The Whispering Waves. With the children seated at his feet, Barnacle began his tale. "It was many moons ago when I captained the ship Sea Serpent. She was a fine vessel, with sails that danced like the wind itself. We were a crew of brave souls, each loyal to one another. Our treasure was not just gold, but the bonds we forged on the waves." He paused, looking at each child, making sure they were hanging on his every word. "One day, we set our course for the Isle of the Lost Treasure, a place whispered about in the taverns of every port. But as we sailed, dark clouds gathered, and the sea grew restless. 'Hurry, Captain!' shouted First Mate Roxy, a fierce girl with a heart of gold. 'We need to reef the sails before the storm hits.' Barnacle nodded, remembering the tension that filled the air as the crew scrambled to secure the sails. We worked together, our arms moving in perfect harmony, proving that teamwork is the key to survival at sea. But just when we thought we were prepared, the storm hit with a ferocity I had never witnessed before." Chapter 3: The Heart of the Storm. As Barnacle described the raging storm, the children gasped. The wind howled like a banshee, and waves crashed over the deck. It was a battle against nature itself. But in that chaos, I saw the true colors of my crew. We were scared, yes, but we did not falter. Roxy climbed to the crow's nest, shouting orders, while our cook, Old Jim, tied himself to the mast, ready to serve us his famous stew whether we sank or swam. The children giggled at the thought of Old Jim's stew sloshing around in the storm. But in the heart of the tempest, we spotted something unusual, a light flickering in the distance. It was a ship, stranded and in distress. "We can't leave them," Roxy cried. "They're in trouble, Captain." Barnacle nodded gravely. It was a tough decision. We could have turned away, safe from the storm, but our hearts told us to help. "All hands on deck," I shouted. "We can't abandon shipmates in need." Chapter 4: A Choice of Honor. The children leaned closer, their eyes wide with suspense. We fought our way through the storm, guiding the Sea Serpent toward the sinking ship. As we approached, I could see the terrified faces of the crew aboard the other vessel. They were trapped, their sails torn, and their ship taking on water. "Captain," yelled Roxy, "we have to throw them a line." With skillful hands, they tossed ropes to the beleaguered crew, pulling them aboard one by one. We worked tirelessly, despite the storm battering us. Finally, we managed to rescue the last sailor, just as his ship disappeared beneath the waves. Barnacle paused, letting the weight of his words settle. In that moment, we realized something important. Loyalty is not just to one's crew, but to all who sail the seas. We had saved lives that day, and it filled our hearts with pride. Chapter 5: The Calm After the Storm. As the storm subsided, the sun peeked through the clouds, casting a golden glow over the sea. The children cheered at the victory. Barnacle smiled and continued, but the adventure was not over yet. The sailors we rescued were grateful and shared with us a secret. a hidden treasure that lay on the Isle of the Lost Treasure. Excitement buzzed among the children. "What happened next, Captain?" one asked eagerly. "We set sail for the island, our hearts full of hope. But little did we know, we were not the only ones seeking the treasure. A notorious pirate named Red Jack had caught wind of our quest and was hot on our tails." Chapter 6, The Chase Begins. Barnacle's voice took on a more serious tone. Red Jack was known for his cunning and ruthlessness. He had a crew of scalawags who would do anything for gold. As we approached the isle, we spotted his ship, the Crimson Fury, looming in the distance. Roxy clenched her fists. "We must be clever, Captain. We can't let them take the treasure." Barnacle nodded, remembering the plan they devised. "We decided to outsmart Red Jack. We anchored our ship behind a cluster of rocky islets, camouflaging ourselves. As he sailed past, we would sneak onto the island and claim the treasure before he knew what hit him." Chapter 7, The Island of Secrets. The children's eyes sparkled with excitement as Barnacle described their stealthy approach to the island. We landed on the shore, careful to make no noise. The jungle was thick and alive with sounds, the calls of exotic birds and the rustle of leaves. But we had a map, a weathered piece of parchment that promised riches beyond our wildest dreams. "Do you remember what it said, Captain?" a child asked, intrigued. Barnacle chuckled. I do. It spoke of a cave guarded by a giant stone statue. The treasure lay within, but only the brave could claim it. As we trekked through the jungle, we encountered all sorts of challenges, vines that tangled our feet, and quicksand that tried to swallow us whole. But we pressed on, our spirits undeterred. Chapter 8, The Guardian of the Cave. After what felt like hours, they finally reached the mouth of the cave. There it stood, the statue, a fierce-looking beast with eyes that seemed to glare at us. We knew we had to solve its riddle to enter. Roxy stepped forward, her heart racing. "What was the riddle, Captain?" Barnacle's eyes twinkled. It asked, "What has keys but cannot open locks?" We all scratched our heads, but then old Jim shouted, "A piano." The statue shifted, and the cave opened before us. The children gasped, imagining the scene. "What did you find inside?" one asked eagerly. Chapter 9, The Treasure Revealed. Barnacle grinned. Inside, the cave was filled with glimmering gold coins, sparkling jewels, and ancient artifacts. But as we pored over the treasure, we heard the familiar sounds of the Crimson Fury approaching. Red Jack had discovered our absence and was coming for us. We had to act fast. Roxy exclaimed. "What did you do, Captain?" We decided to take only what we could carry, and leave the rest behind. True treasure lies not in gold, but in the bonds we share and the adventures we undertake together. We made our way back to the Sea Serpent, just as Red Jack and his crew stormed the shore. Chapter 10, A Clever Escape. Barnacle continued, "The fight was fierce, but we outsmarted them." Roxy led a clever distraction, by using firecrackers we had saved for celebrations. As the explosions lit up the sky, we slipped away, the crew of the Crimson Fury too busy to notice our escape. The children's eyes widened in amazement. "You outsmarted them, Captain," one shouted. "Aye, we did." As we sailed away, I realized that loyalty, courage, and quick thinking had saved us. We may not have taken all the treasure, but what we gained was far more valuable, a story to tell and friendships that would last a lifetime. Chapter 11, Lessons from the Sea. Barnacle looked around at the eager faces before him. "Remember, young ones, the sea teaches us many things. It shows us the importance of bravery in the face of danger, loyalty to our friends, and the wisdom to know what truly matters. Every adventure holds a lesson, and every challenge we face makes us stronger." The children clapped and cheered, inspired by the old pirate's story. "Thank you, Captain Barnacle," they called out, their hearts full of dreams of the sea. Barnacle smiled, tipping his hat. "Now go on, my little shipmates, and create your own adventures. The world is full of treasure waiting to be discovered." Chapter 12, The Legacy of Barnacle Blue. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over Brine Harbor, the children ran off, their imaginations alight with the tales of Captain Barnacle. And as for the old pirate, he stood at the edge of the dock, watching the waves lap gently against the shore, content in the knowledge that his stories would live on in the hearts of the young adventurers. For Barnacle Blue, the sea would always be his home, and every adventure was just another chapter waiting to be written. And with a heart full of memories, he turned away from the dock, ready to prepare for the next tale to tell.